Okay, it is showing here, but yes, it has come. Sorry. So coming to the coding process. So in this slide, what you can see. Can you recall something from your UG days or from your MD days by seeing this slide? Yes? Anyone? Okay, so Dr. Jalinder is saying yes. So whenever we used to read our, yes, Priyanka is writing, maybe every time like we have appeared for entrances, MD entrance, MBBS entrance, our 10th exam, whatever we read, generally we tend to mark it and write some important points, stick some sticky notes over it, marking any additional point which we have learned from some other textbook. We used to have it like write it in one or the other corner, or exam important from exam perspective, like short note, long answer question, something like that. So generally, whenever we read something, we go through this process and we keep on marking or highlighting important thing. Similar thing is important. Similar concept or similar process is required whenever you read any transcript. Here, it's basically a knowledge part in for examination or something, but in case of a transcript you have to keep your central question in your mind and keep reading and highlighting and writing the relevant part of your transcript. So similar process you have to. Now before we start with the process of coding, let's see few very simple in the form of a game. So you can see a lot of pictures in this slide. You can see there are names of animals. There are other things like articles, fruits, and the mode of conveyance. So on a notebook, can you please write down the name of animals in this picture? Or any, like you can type in the chat box here. Yes, goat, peacock, cow, cat, dog, goat, horse, camel. Good, very good. So we have just enumerated all these here from 1 to 32. Yes. Now if I ask you, you can just see this slide and now group these animals according to any of the criteria which you think. So group these animals. How do you want to group them? You can see bat, camel, cat, chimpanzee, cow, crab, crocodile, herbivores. Yes. Based on food, carnivores. True. Reptiles, very nice. Pallavi is writing birds, reptiles, animals. Domestic and wild animal. Very right. Anjali and Priyanka is writing. Carnivore and herbivore. True. Reptiles and mammals. Water animal. Okay. Aquatic and terrestrial. You can classify using the habitat mode of habitat also. Okay, agree. So you have seen that whenever you have got something, the way of classification is different. In this simple example, somebody is classifying using wild and like terrestrial, somebody is amphibian, somebody like reptile, and others like birds, and so there are the various classification which you all can see here. So similarly, and many of you have done it in the form of eating habits like carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore. So the same thing goes with the coding. Whenever you see any code, now we'll learn what this code is, but there are ways to categorize this, and everybody's process of thinking is different. And in qualitative, always remember in mind that there is no right or wrong approach. Whatever you think with your data, that's the right approach. So now again, if I ask your like you name animals in according to these carnivore, herbivore, and omnivore. So now you have to classify using these habits. So now what is the difference between the previous, this one, and this one? Yes? Here yes, I'm giving in between you have to choose between the inductive and deductive. So remember, we have on day one we discussed regarding the inductive framework and deductive. Like grounded theory, we said that it is usually inductive in nature and there is no pre-existing categories or themes, and you develop a new categories and theme. So this is deductive in nature, and the previous one was inductive, where you all have come up with the different ways of classifying it. So now you have to look at these words. So you can see there are many words here like annoyed, upset, lost, vibrant, creative, bitter, glad, and motivated. So you can see these words. Now, if you have to classify them, how you will classify? Yes, please write in the chat box. Mood. Okay, so mood will be a broader concept. Very nice. And then you classify mood on the basis of, you are writing nature of person. Okay. Multitasker, feeling, positive and negative mood. Yes. Right. So this was like a deductive, inductive. When I did not ask, then you are coming up. Now, if I ask this, like you have to classify it in negative emotions or negative mood and positive emotions and positive mood, then it will be a deductive one. Sorry. Now you can see this. There is a newspaper clip, and you can see. Yes, can someone read this? Yes, Dr. Dhanya, can you read this? The title of this newspaper clip.
Women give free shots to people at US airport after being denied to carry alcohol.
Okay, so this was the
Ma'am, should I be reading?
yes, you can reread. I think there was some pauses in gap. We could not hear you in between.
Women give free shots to people at US airport after being denied to carry
Okay, thank you. So this was a newspaper clip, and it
alcohol.
was the thank you, Dhanya. This was a newspaper clip, and it came in I think, and then if you just see this newspaper clip, can you frame the news looking at the headline? What would have happened? This is just like if you are replacing a big paragraph with one sentence, what could be that paragraph? Just a wild guess. Yes? Can someone say? Alcohol freebies. Yes, very right. So you can see this was a viral video showed women offering free shots to passenger at US airport after security personnel stopped them from carrying large bottles of alcohol. Security officials chuckled as this Miami-bound women offered shots to passenger. And I'm disappointed. One social media user said that I am disappointed because I wasn't there to participate. A social media user commented. Similarly, can you frame a headline looking at this news? This is just the process we want to uh, stimulate in you people, that if you hear a excerpt or if you listen or if you read, then how you can summarize this? Yes, can someone read this? Yes, Dr. Priyanka, can you read this?
Yes, ma'am. A 5-year-old Motorola phone saved a man's life by stopping a bullet from penetrating his skin during an armed robbery in Brazil. The doctor who treated the phone's owner said the man only had a small bruise near his hip and was quickly discharged. He also shared pictures of damaged Moto G5, which had a Hulk themed phone cover.
So can you frame a headline looking at this news? All of you, please type in the chat box. Motorola is life-saving, buy it. Okay, Dr. Abhijit has given Savior Mobile, Motorola phone a savior. Yes. Anyone else? Protector phone? Yes, Motorola, power of Hulk. So Dr. Jalinder has included Hulk also. Motorola creates unique save life, a true story. Dr. Abdul is saying. Yes, good. So you can say that title also is different. Everyone is coming with some other title. One person has put both Hulk and Motorola, and someone has like Life Savior and Motorola together. But Motorola, you will see that that is there in almost all the title. So this was so can you tell, like, whenever you see any news headline, what is the purpose of that news headline? You must be seeing e-newspaper or newspaper with headline. How do they make headline? Or even the news with the news anchor they read. Yes. So Dr. Dhanya is right. Catch the attention or interest of the people, so that if you see that heading, you should be like feel like going what happened next. So similarly, in case of it should be catchy. Yes, grab attention. All of you are right. Increase sales of that newspaper. Yes. Sales is basically more number of readers and more curiosity to read those newspaper. So qualitative, again, you will see that qualitative research is more of a presentation. And we'll see the analogy between a kitchen ingredient and making a dish out of it. If you give the same dish like rice and milk and sugar and dry fruits to one person who is a normal cook, and to the other person who is a great cook, then probably the item which you will get at the end of cooking, it will be quite different. So think that you are the cook and you have to cook your manuscript. I'm just telling you in the layperson language, and you have to cook something which should be very tasty to eat. Similarly, the way qualitative research is all about presentation of your data. Because if you give the same transcript to three people, you will get different codes and categories. It is for sure, I'm telling you. You can just see now that the way people think, everybody thinking process is different. So even if you give the same transcript to three people or two people, the way they think, the way they present and organize the data, it will be different from the other person. So there's no right or wrong. You are in charge of your own research. So if you are the PI, and of course, it's a teamwork. So we will discuss about process of coding also. Whether there should be one person who should be coding, or there can be more than one person who should be coding. Should it be a teamwork or it should be a solo coder? So yes, this qualitative data analysis is again process-wise similar, but concept-wise it is different for each qualitative research approach. We will discuss the various type of data analysis for these qualitative research probably day after tomorrow. So these are some of the data analysis technique. I think we should not cover it now. I am skipping this. So coming to code, what's a code? So what is a code? We'll see the definition of code. First, how you should be, like, you have got these transcripts now. So how you should be doing this coding? Should you be using the manual coding, or should you be doing the coding by a computer assisted device or the software? So there are multiple ways to do it. You can do it by hand. Hand means using the paper pen, or manually without a software. You can do with the word processor, means the Microsoft Word, and you can use Excel also, or you can use the software also. There are ways to do it. Okay. But first thing is very important, that you should know what to code and how to code. So that process, to get yourself familiarized with that process, you should try to do it manually, because generally your thinking process you are into, but again it depends from person to person. There can be a person whose thought process works well with the computer and with the Microsoft Word and Excel, and there can be some person who is more comfortable with paper, pen, and hard copies. So it depends how your personality is, and depending on that, you can take the way you want to do the coding. So first we'll see again to solve this problem. We have learned this also. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, so just read. Someone can read this and you have to give your interpretation. These exercises are just to help us to realize that everyone is unique. Yes, can someone read this? Yes, I can see Dr. Saurabh, but I think he's attending. Dr. Saurabh, can you read this?
Yes, madam, I can read that.
Thank you.
This is the excerpt taken from an article. Okay, excerpt taken from an article. The medicines cost raise 1,000 per day, and additionally, I had to be taken to the doctor. It was very difficult for my husband as he is a daily wage earner and worker, and the expenses were very high. Each day I was given a drip and returned home late in the evening. My children used to stay hungry all the day.
Okay. So if you have to how to code. So coding is basically if you have to give your interpretation in one word or few words, what will you write? Reading this. Yes. All of you, please type in the chat box. Out of pocket expenditure. Okay, Dr. Ekta is writing. Poverty affecting my health care. Okay. Yes, good. Anybody else who might want to have a different words, or you can have one sentence also. It's not only one word. Uneasy access to healthcare, financial constraints, agony of a patient. True. So like Dr. Dhanya has gone more of a emotional component, like agony of a patient, whereas the other people are mostly focusing on health from the health system perspective. So again, you can see the way you see the data, and it is basically our own reflection, how we perceive. So that's why we say that in case of a qualitative research, it's the researcher who drafts everything. So here there is a subjectivity in the interpretation, and that's the worldview of each of the participants. So in case of a qualitative data analysis, first there is this broad one which you can see here. If we focus on this, these small dots are the codes. Codes, we learn what are these codes. So this goes into this process. Then by merging these codes, we make categories. If you club categories, you come with themes, and then one prominent theme, you call it as a theory, or out of 3-4 theme, you make a theory. So that's how the categorization is being done. So codes are clubbed to categories, categories to theme, and theme to theory. Again, this is one again excerpt for example. So can someone read this? Yes, I can see Dr. Anjali.
Yes, ma'am. Except, for example, interviewer, what challenges do you face while communicating with patients? Participant, one of the biggest challenges is the language barrier. Many of our patients don't speak the local language, and sometimes, even when we try to explain things, they don't fully understand. I feel like I have to repeat myself several times, and still they look confused. I also think that time is a major issue. During busy days, I only have a few minutes with each patient, and I am not able to explain things in detail. It feels rushed, and I can tell that the patients are not able to process everything. It's frustrating for both of us because I want them to understand, but I just don't have the time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anjali. So you can,
Thank
in
you.
this excerpt, you can see that either you can code one word, you can code one sentence, or even you can code this whole paragraph. We'll see the type of coding. So it is up to you. There is no such guideline that what to code. Whatever you find interesting, whatever you find disturbing, whatever you find attractive. Attractive means it should be all in line with your central question. That should be coded. So what is coding basically? So coding is, by the term coding or code, it's a short phrase basically, which has got the summative meaning of that particular sentences or paragraph. and it's the essence capturing. Means if you replace that 2 or 3 word with the whole, if you replace the whole paragraph with the 2 or 3 word, it should have that essence capturing of that paragraph. So basically, what happens that in case of a qualitative data, it's so many transcripts are there. Even if you see that one audio interview of 30 to 40 minutes, you will have like 10 to 15 pages of transcript. So how to present the data? You cannot give that whole draft of transcript to read it to someone. Ultimately, you have to make it in the form of a informative, like, so that the other person can read this and it should reach to the audience. So it's the process of basically reducing your qualitative data, because qualitative data is in the form of words and sentences. They are not in the form of numbers. So numbers you can reduce very easily, but how to reduce the number of words? So basically, code you give to summarize or to reduce your huge qualitative data.
Can I ask, can we go to the previous slide? Because probably there it'll be helpful. Yeah, this one. You said it's up to us what we like to go ahead and code. So here, if I feel the opening sentence is about the language barrier being the biggest challenge. So can I code it as a language barrier becomes a code, or the biggest challenge becomes the code?
No, actually, if you write the biggest challenge, then I will not understand anything. Biggest challenge is what? So it is not complete. Again, I said that it should have that meaning.
So the entire thing will be a code. The entire thing in red is the code.
You will select this. It will be a quote. QUOTE quote.
Quote. Okay.
Yeah, there is code. COD code. Code is like you give a short name to this. So probably this sentence I might write like language barrier. That's it. And not only this, maybe one of the biggest challenge, many of our patients do not speak local language, and sometimes even when I try to explain, they don't fully understand. I will select all these 3 sentences and put a word like language barrier.
Okay.
We will learn all this. This is just we are going.
No, I just wanted to get a feel of what you were saying.
Very right. So again, I said it depends on your epistemology and your ontology. Remember, epic and emic and ethic perspective. So since you are an insider to this data now, so that's how, again, it should be in line with your research question. Central phenomena which we discussed on day 2, I guess. Yes. So your research question, you should keep, like, generally we have shared the Saldana we have shared, na? We have shared the ebook of Saldana, which is I think this is one of the best book which we found, and we have taken the reference of all these sessions from that book. So if you have time, any leisure time, if you go through that book, he suggests that you should keep because what happens in interview also, you will say that many times we digress from our main question. So you should keep a copy. You should write your central question, your research objective, and your main objective in front of you, writing in one page, and paste it in front of the table or computer wherever you are working on this qualitative data analysis. It will keep you reminding what to code and what not to code. Why? Because if you code everything, then at the last it will be very difficult for you to summarize. But for practice, I will tell right now, if you are a beginner, then it's better to code everything. If you can't differentiate. Why I'm saying? Because when you start, I'll show, if time permits, I'll show few of my earlier projects. So that time, like, we were very novice. So we have coded everything. But at the end, what will happen? When you start making categories, so those unnecessary code, you will not find anywhere to fit. So anyways, they will be left out. But later you can think that you wasted a lot of time, but it's not the wastage of time. It's the learning process.
No, please do share so that we don't feel all that bad.
No. I'll share. You will laugh like anything. It was. We will share the initial. initial process how we used to code. Right now also we are not a very good coder because, but again, like we have improved. It's a
Experience.
process. Yeah, it's a process. The more you do, the more you have the experience of doing it. So now again, it's a process of reducing the qualitative data without losing its meaning. That is very important. Whenever you want to summarize it with few words, it should not lose its meaning. Like you said right now, biggest challenge. But if you just code it with biggest challenge, I will not come to know like biggest challenge what. Like then you said language barrier. So probably if you code it like language barrier, then I might understand. And then if you code biggest, the whole sentence, biggest is the language barrier, that will be the very important because from the participants, and they are saying that for them this is the most important issue in doctor patient communication, and with capturing the significant idea. So what is a code basically? Code is a short phrase or a word which basically capture the essence of that particular 2 to 3 sentences, or it can be a paragraph also. Again, code is a researcher generated interpretation. So it is very subjective. One paragraph can be coded, can be given one code by one person, exactly the opposite or the another code by, like just now you have seen in that paragraph, Dr. Dhanya has written patient agony, whereas the other people, they have written like financial constraint or maybe out of pocket expenditure. So there was a range of code in that short paragraph. Similar thing will happen with you people. So, but again, since it is you who is going to code, so whatever you are thinking, that is the best because it's your research question. Again, it gives the meaning to that particular data. And again, with these codes, you can detect any pattern, or when you merge these codes, it will have, you will have a category. And when you merge the category, you will have a theme. We'll see these things very slowly. So Harvey was an ethnographer, and again he said that this was the line which it is there in the Saldana, that he says that we should not expect our transcript to be like a towel, that when we would wring out all and expect the codes to fall all over the floor like water. So it is not something like, data is not like you, if you put that in the software and you will get everything. There are software where there is a option of auto coding, but those auto coding also, if you put it on, you need to check each and everything, because what you will have as an interpreter and what the computer will have its own interpretation, there can be many times there's a lot of differences. So what we want you people to code what you think. Don't put that option of auto coding on, because then you will lose your track with the data, and then you will be guided by the computer direction. So because computer is for your assistance, you should have your own consciousness and your own thought process and your own emotions whenever, because it's your research. Again, I said, that's why I said your axiology. Remember, we talked about axiology. What you think is right and ethical, and it should be explored. A research starts from that point of view. Even if you are doing a project, funded project, there also generally you ask for fund of your own interest where you have generated a research question. So at that, I mean, remember this, that it should be, you should be the person who should be guiding authority what to code and what not to code. Okay, I think we have few these breaks in between, just like a code. So what you have to guess the movie. Yes, can someone guess it?
एक था टाइगर
Ekta tiger.
Yes, very right. And what is this song? So you have to replace these four with one sentence, 4 sentences. I don't know, maybe some old song. You can see, maybe someone can answer. Every time I think one or the other person. Ek tha tiger, this was the answer. I think, yeah, Punjabi song. Yeah. Lagti Lahore. Yeah, right, Dr. Latika. True. So now coming to, like we have said in the beginning, that it should have some significant idea. So what a significant idea, again, that is very subjective. So any verbatim which you think that it is in line with your research question or central phenomena, that is the significant idea basically. So the process of coding, it helps us to understand a given phenomena in the data. It also tells us if any, we will see the types of coding. So whenever you develop a construct, you do the scale development, like self-esteem, or if you are doing something on aging, which is a construct, so your coding or your words, choice of selection of words, it also helps to develop a construct. And again, with those codes and categories and theme, either you can develop your own theory or you can fill a gap in the existing theory. So what method of coding should you use? So that depends on the research question and the type of research approach which you use. But generally, we are discussing most common type of coding which is done in health. The book of Saldana, which we have shared, that is a book for everyone, even the people who are into language, into the economics, into business, into drama, into literature, uh, everywhere, social sciences, anthropology, including health. So he has given, I think, 32 types of coding method. But all the coding methods are not applicable for us in health. So we have selected some most commonly and use method in case of a health. So again, we have done this type of research question, the ontological and epistemological. This we have understood. Now, giving you example with the researcher as a coding lenses, filters, and angles. So here, you know that in camera, there are lenses, there are filters. And as a photographer, you change your angle also while taking any photograph. So in this case, the researcher is acting in all the three roles. Researcher is acting like a lenses. Lenses means what you do, you zoom in and zoom out. So with your eyes, you have to catch those important points or significant ideas that you want to zoom out. And if you don't want something, that you will put it in zoom in. Similarly, filters. There will be a lot of unnecessary data which is not related to your research question. You will simply filter them out. You will not include them in coding. And then angle. What do you mean by angle? So you change your angle whenever you take the photograph to have a full picture or to have a holistic view of that picture. So from a researcher point of view also, whenever you see a transcript, so you can change your angle. Angle means a perception, or if you are thinking from one perspective, you can change your perspective and think from another person perspective. So that we mean by changing the angles. So this was one example again given in Saldana itself. Yes, can someone read this?
Yeah, can I do it?
Yeah, please.
There is just no place in this country for illegal immigrants. Round them up and send those criminals back to where they came from.
Okay, thank you. So this example Saldana has given just to emphasize on these coding lenses, filters, and angle. So there can be one type of coder or researcher who believes in grounded theory. So what he will do, he will focus on this word. Because in grounded theory, remember, we work more on processes. So he will work like no place. No place means in that particular country, they cannot live at all. So he has focused on this word as no place. Then there can be another type of researcher who is an ethnographer. So probably ethnographer will focus more on this immigration issue, because he will see that people who are immigrant, it's very difficult for them to live and to sustain and to earn in another country. So he will take it as an immigration issue. And there can be another person, another researcher who believes in critical race theory. So what he will see that it is a xenophobia, means you have got a phobia for a particular race, that is the immigrant, and that's why you want to send them to another country or from where they have come. So you can see that the same excerpt can be coded by three type of researcher in three different ways. The first person who believes in grounded theory might take it as no place. The second person who is an ethnographer will think more about the immigration issue. And the third person who believes in critical race theory, he will think that this is an act of xenophobia. So
That's
similarly,
interesting. Then there is a lot of dichotomy in how the interpretation is happening.
yes,
So
it's
a double-edged sword. I mean, so then it's very tricky as to how the person who's coding his mindset is, whether he's of the first group or he's an ethnographic mindset. So that's very tricky, actually.
yes. That's why the researchers should come up with their own biases. And therefore, you will see that every time you read any qualitative research or submit a proposal, they always ask that, what are your biases? As for
So
example,
reflexivity is something that one needs to address here.
yes, very important. And that's how you pick a research. Generally, you pick a research topic which suits you, which is of interest to you, which should stimulate you. So
Right.
then you will be, again, I said that if you give the data to some other person, he might code it very differently. You can just
Yes, yes.
see. That's
No,
why we
then
always say you can ask.
I'll give my quantitative data to somebody, but I don't think so. I'll ever give my qualitative data to anybody actually. So
Yes,
after all this,
no, what you can do, what we do here, like we always give some topic to our students, like person who is doing the thesis for small, like thesis work and small, because students come to us for small projects. So
sure,
we do them they do, but we see what they are coding
right,
of
right,
and we supervise them. But yes,
right,
if you are doing something of your own interest, then I think even the data collection you should do on your
right,
own, because the
right.
kind of inquiry
Okay,
which you can do, the other
right.
will not do. How much training
So,
you give to that person?
so another question comes to my mind then. So, is qualitative research then driven by the funder? Can it be driven by the
uh,
funder?
it can be both ways. Many times now these days, what funder are, what they are doing, indirectly it is of their interest,
Their
but
interest,
they
exactly.
present you in such a way that you will feel like you have made the proposal, but actually it's they.
Right.
See, so
So,
that's why, yes, many times we also do, like we did 3 projects, I guess, which was funded. But again, it's a learning. So we learned a lot during those projects. And now once you have learned, then you can decide anything on your own. But
right,
initial learning, project handling, these things, again, you learn a lot, because that is also helpful. Up to
right.
you. But again, for projects, like what I feel, that even the interview taking, because ultimately interview is the data for you people.
Yes.
You should be the one who should be conducting the interview, because you cannot transfer your brain and ideas and reflexivity to any person.
No, no. Agreed, agreed. Thank you.
So you should keep yourself unbiased during coding. Means here we mean something different. Unbiased means, again, you should have your own biases. If you have identified your own biases, means if, like, I'm doing something on domestic violence, and if I'm myself am a victim of intimate partner violence, then definitely I'll be biased. So then I identify my biases, and if you've identified your biases, then you can keep yourself more unbiased during the coding. So again, coding, it is a metaphor which is said in the Saldana, that don't think that coding is analysis. Coding is basically you are generating bones for your analysis. And when you will integrate that bone or assemble that bone into a skeletal, then it will be called a analyzed transcript. So coding and analysis are not similar. Many times you will see that if you have coded, you have analyzed. No, but coding is only giving meaning to those paragraphs. Then again, you have to assemble them. That's why you have to make categories, and then you have to make theme. And then, if possible, which is not always the case, if you can suggest something new, then it will be like a building block. So with those blocks, you have to make the building. Right now, with coding, you are only making the blocks. So again, one excerpt, this we took from Saldana, like quantitative data analysis calculates the mean, whereas the qualitative data analysis calculates the meaning. So I have said this, that coding and analysis is not synonym. It is cyclical in nature. Why it is called cyclical? First time when you read this, when you read any transcript, you might come with very rough code. When you read it second time, then you will refine your codes. So similarly, it's written at many places in Saldana that you are rarely correct in first time coding, because first time you are not very familiar. So the moment you read your transcript twice, thrice, then you can see some hidden meaning underneath, or some indirect thing, or some causal thing, some causal code. We learn those codes also uh, by seeing the reading the transcript time and again. And codes and categories are two separate entities. So there are some necessary personal attributes for coding. The first thing is you should be critical thinker. Whenever you see something, again, it depends on your level of critical thinking and logic. That should be there. The second is perseverance. For qualitative research, perseverance is very important, because it's not as quick. The result you will not get as quick as in quantitative. So reading, coding, making transcript, data collection is very easy in qualitative. Very easy means with 10, 12 transcript also, you can manage a whole manuscript if they are of very good quality interview. But again, drafting that manuscript is not as easy as it is in quantitative. So you need a perseverance, long hours of sitting on the computer, thinking process. A lot of thinking process is required. It is not very objective, as you see in quantitative, like you apply paired t-test, or you have applied some model and you just come out with the independent and dependent variable, how much is the interpretation, all those things. Quantitative test, all those analytical quantitative tests. So that much objectivity is not there in the qualitative. So it needs a lot of perseverance. Again, it is flexible, like we have seen, depends on the researcher eyes also, his lenses and his filters. Creativity is very important, because I said that it's like, you are cooking different dishes from same ingredient. So the more you are creative, the more you will draft a good qualitative report. You should be very much ethical, like we were discussing during the process of interview also, or making transcript also, that you should be why ethical, because if you cannot if 19%, like we have discussed this many times, like if 18 persons are saying something, and if one person is opposite of those particular idea or thought process, then you should not leave that person. So you should have voices of each and everyone, even if you are not convinced with that person. Deliberately, you cannot leave someone's voice if you are not convinced with that particular person. That's why you should be very much ethical in reporting the qualitative manuscript finding. And this is again very important. You should have extensive vocabulary, because many times you will not. We also find it difficult. So they also suggest that you should sit with abridged dictionary, so that you should know if you are replacing something,